Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here today. I excited because we're gonna tap into your goddess energy, your inner goddess. This is all about awakening your goddess energy, the divine blueprint, the template that you hold. We're gonna be looking at the goddess energy within you that your spirit, your inner radiance wants to shine through. So, as we move through life and we peel back different layers of ourselves, we get to see a more pure, raw energy, a pattern of energy that reveals itself to us, and that's when we really truly feel we're stepping into the person we're meant to be, or just remembering, as I would say. It's not so much that you're becoming, it's that you are remembering who you are. We're going to be looking at the overall energetic signature of the goddess energy you're holding. And this is about embracing your divine feminine energy. And all humans have this, regardless of physical gender. We carry both masculine and feminine energies within us, and it's about harmonizing those aspects within us. So, the goddesses that will come through this reading today think of it like the archetypal energies or patterns of energy that you are currently embodying and emerging into, especially in this cycle of your life, so you can shift and grow into different and resonate with different goddesses along your journey, because it's a resonance, it's a familiarity of like what your soul's guiding you towards, and the qualities and the aspects that your soul wants to embrace. So many of us may be unconscious of the powerful archetypal forces within us that influence what we do and how we feel. So tapping into this blueprint of energy, the goddesses will reveal your soul's deep desires. And that's a part of you asking to be expressed as you develop this connection between yourself and your life. So these were the goddesses that came forward when I decided to shuffle the cards and just see who came out. I was really inspired by this deck I got. It's called Awakening the Goddess Within. And the cards are beautiful. So these were the ladies that decided to show up to the party. We have Ma'at with Cosmic Balance, Athena, Inner Strength. Mother Mary showed up. Everyone be cool. Everyone be chill. I know we're talking about goddesses, but we're also talking just about the feminine archetype, spiritual leaders. So I know she's not mainly regarded as a goddess, but she's in there. But apologies to anyone who's offended by like, Mother Mary doesn't get classified as a goddess. Well, to us, she is. So here she is, Eternal Faith. And then we have Artemis, Untamed Spirit. And then Ocean with Infinite Flow. And then here are the corresponding crystals. So Ocean has a little, not an oyster, little clam. Tiny heart for Artemis. Mother Mary gets a little angel. These are all rose quartz, by the way. Except that one, I think that one's selenite. And then I got a big heart for Athena. And then the crystal tower point for Ma'at. Alright, so the timestamps will be in the description, whichever of these goddesses that you resonate with. You could also pick more than one, that is likely. So without further ado, I will see you in your reading. See you soon. Hi group 1, welcome to your reading. You chose Ma'at with Cosmic Balance. Look at her. She's got a fun ostrich feather And it's making me think, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle. She's beautiful. Look at the scales too. So that's already, and corresponding with the word balance here. If you're not familiar with Ma'at, she is an ancient Egyptian goddess for the afterlife. So during judgment, she would be the one. I'm not sure because I feel like, when does Anubis come in? Because I think he also does the same thing. Anyways, basically when the heart was weighed against a feather on her scales there. So she represents divine order. And she is also the daughter of the sun god Ra. And she upholds the order and balance. That's why she has the scales there of the afterlife. So her gifts extend beyond justice, and they include harmony, peace, and ethical integrity. So with her energy, immediately I feel like you're the type of person, whether this is actualized or not, everyone's going to be in different scales here with how fully expressed this is, or maybe you're facing many trials to get you to step into this power and embrace this part of yourself that your soul is divinely guided to do. You're the one carrying the mission for this, so to speak, in the spaces that you occupy, the communities that you exist in, the friendships, the relationships. It seems like you kind of bring in, you naturally have this sense of truth and justice. So you might already have a strong sense of right and wrong, or at least your internal guidance system is very developed. Whether, and maybe it took time to articulate or what it was. Some of you may come in strong with this already. Some of you may, even if you start to stray off the path, there's something in you. It's almost like a mechanism that's instinctively like, nope, come back over here. It's like a leash. Like if you stray a little far off, there's always something in you that says, that's not right. That's not the right path. I got to go, reorient myself and course correct. So it's like you have this very strong aspect of you that can clean up any mess, and also, have that discernment for others too in the messes that they create. Because again, you're taking this chaos and putting order into balance. And you probably have a no BS kind of meter for, I wouldn't be surprised that you can easily pick up when someone's not telling you the truth. The words don't match the energy. You can feel your vibes. You could feel all the vibes. And you may stumble across information that, how do I want to say this? It's like you come across information through your own ways, through your own cues, and eventually maybe the evidence pours out and you're like, see, I was right all along. So it's like you have a very strong meter of detection for others. And sometimes that could get expressed on its shadow side, where we become too judgmental and we're too accusatory. Other times, if it's another shadow aspect, also could be of not, you're right, but you didn't call it out. You didn't speak up. And you're placed in these situations to develop speaking out, because you do have a very strong sense of justice. And people need to be accountable for their actions. I feel like you're very, you have a good head on your shoulders. You have a firm accountability, self-accountability. Even if you make a mistake, even if let's say you do something, you mess up, you're probably the first one to either, ask for forgiveness, or you'll rack yourself with guilt. It's like, you just have a good sense of, was that fair in this situation? What was fair for this situation? So, that's one of your beautiful gifts that you have in this life, is bringing that order that's needed. So if you have a strong attraction to morality and ethics, or anything to deal with like justice system and advocating for or volunteering. Like I could see you really shine in those spaces because it really accentuates those parts of your soul. Okay, we're gonna look at this second card that I had already pulled for you. Okay, so it looks like we have Hera, matrimonial blessings. So some of you could already be mothers or expecting, and maybe you already have a family. If not, you may just have a very maternal instinct and maternal energy about you that kind of mothers others, mothers others. So even if you don't have a child or expecting a child, you could be the person in your friend group, at work, your relationships, as a very nurturing quality to you. But I'm also seeing with this, because we have Ma'at paired with her, it's like you're a strong pillar of the community, of the workplace, of the relationships and connections that you get into, because you create the form, the container for these relationships to exist in. And you're extremely reliable, you're loyal, committed. Like, I feel like people can really trust you. And they might often go to you for any kind of guidance or help because you do carry a lot of wisdom within you. And so these goddesses are showing up to reflect that back to you, to show you that, you know, to really embrace and those values that you have, you instinctively, and appreciate that you have those, because a lot of people, it's like a struggle with finding the right alignment, the inner alignment. So there's a lot of disharmony, and I feel like you bring in a lot of harmony and you cultivate this harmony in the relationships that you're in. So, and that's a beautiful gift that your goddess energy has for others. So Hera is the wife of Zeus in the Greek pantheon, and she's the protector of women and children. So yeah, again, strong protection of those, not just them, it's like, or anybody who's in any kind of disenfranchised state. Is that the right word? I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I feel like anybody who needs a voice, it's like you're the person. You're probably that friend that tells the waiter, like, she ordered this. Well, meanwhile, the other friend's like, no, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. I'm the friend who's like, if I'll have a meal, but I'll just like try to poke around it and be like, you know, it wasn't great, but I can, you know, I'll eat around it or blah, blah. And then I'll have other friends who have this kind of energy, and they're just like, no, excuse me, waiter, can we reorder this? This wasn't cooked right. So they'll just call it out. So I feel like you're that friend. We need you. We need people like you to show all the others how to do it. Because you just have a natural way of doing this, by the way. And people feel safe around you. The other thing I'm picking up too, I'm seeing such a leadership, powerful authority. So if you have a leadership role in your work environment or family life, their community, it's like you just naturally take up that dynamic. It's like people are kind of looking to who to go to, and you're just like, okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go there. You're going to go here. You just take the wheel and steer it. And that's what's such a beautiful part of your energy. I'm also getting the image, if you've seen Wakanda Forever, it's the second one, and it's Angela Bassett's character. She's the queen, and she's just in her throne. She's lost everything, and it's like one of her quotes. She's like, have I not given everything, or I have lost everything. It's so epic, and she just gives me chills. What a phenomenal actress. But the thing is, her queen-like energy, I feel like you have that part of you that like just commands the room when you really step into that energy. I'm just seeing like a gavel too, like in a courtroom. So Man, what a badass energy you've got here. I want to kind of dig in a little more to find out some other qualities of your goddess energy. You have Pomona, Plenty. Oh. And Hecate. Hecate. I'm not sure if I say it right. That's beautiful. Look at that. I love it. Lover. Light attributes, great passion and devotion, unbridled appreciation of someone or something. This is interesting. You have Aries and Addict. I wonder, okay, let me just do one more. Okay. Oh gosh, okay. Well, it didn't go as planned, but I love that the goddess card came out in the goddess reading. And Old Soul. Okay, that's interesting because we have Ma'at over here. Also this nod to Egypt. Old Soul, you definitely had past lifetimes in Egypt. And beyond that, because we're talking about cosmic order, and these are just probably beyond this earth. Anyways, extrovert. Look at her, having a great time. Addict. Oh, I'm getting a vibe. Okay, I think I know what this means. Eagle. Starting with Pomona, she comes from an ancient Roman myth, and she is a beautiful nymph. She cherished her garden above everything else, and she spent all this time pruning back the plants, removing anything that was rotting, tending to the soil so it was fully nutritious. And so this is talking about, she would remove the dead weight. And then in the story, it talks about how she often worked alone and so engrossed in her garden, she didn't feel the need for a romantic company. And so it was really hard for her, and everyone was kind of pining for her attention and were trying to get her attention, but it was so hard. She wouldn't even look up to see, to open that door for anybody. And eventually, in this story, it talks about, I think there was one lover who was able to shape shift and got into her garden and then revealed himself and promised her love. And they worked together and created an even more beautiful garden. So there was somebody who was able to get into her heart after she had built up these fences and walls. And so her story reminds us that we have unlimited plenty in our lives and the natural world, as long as we cultivate it and care for it. And then I liked, when I was reading in the book, it had mentioned we stifle our growth if we do not choose to prune back the unnecessary things in our lives. For most of us, there are always some aspects of our lives that we would like to change, and it could be an outmoded belief, a bad habit, a damaging pattern, or a plain and simple fear. Now, Pomona was certain her garden would suffer should she have a partner, but once she was able to let go of that idea, she made room for a partner in a more fruitful garden. And often with these unnecessary things, we need to make a decision to finally leave them behind or cut them out of our lives for once and for all. So her story kind of talks about any limiting beliefs that we may hold. It's interesting. She's sitting next to Hecate, which is talking about being at a crossroads of a decision having to be made. And you're looking at the past, present, and future. She is the triple moon goddess. And it makes me think that there's an energy in your life where you're kind of you're forced into a situation to having to look at your patterns, especially with the addict card. There's a few levels I want to read this at. Let's first look at like how it's showing up in your life. So it's just maybe addicted to certain thought forms or thought patterns that literally chain you and block you from growing this abundant love that you have. So this could be the shadowy energy of the Justice card of like, criticizing or just blocking and saying what's wrong with other people. Obviously not as harsh as that, but when our mind starts to be like, oh, we're kind of preemptively, it's like our ego can get really good about saying like, well, they're just doing it because they are secretly going to betray me and lie to me, and why should I even give them any time of the day? And so it's like sabotagey in a little bit, or we kind of make everybody like putting them on trial, having to prove themselves. And it could come from a scarring, a wounding of like, I've been hurt before and past wounds. And so I have this like wall up and I'm just going to do my own thing. And I'm going to celebrate that. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful energy to be in. But also Ma'at is like, she comes back to the heart center to say, is that really true? Is that really in your heart of hearts? Do you think that's true? This is something in your gut is like, you know what? Maybe this is where I need to relook at this pattern, this belief. And I think you're really good at that. I think you're absolutely great at that with yourself and probably with your friends in your circles more so. I think it's easier to help those outside of us than until it's our turn. But for this energy to come forward, you might be thrown a lot of challenges your way to bring out your Ma'at energy, your Hera energy. Again, a companion, because that's Zeus's companion. So there could be a relationship in the wings for you, or opening yourself up to the energy of romantic love. If not that, it's just the energy of love itself. It's opening up your heart center. It looks like you're an old soul, and a lot of people can really learn from your energy. A lot of younger souls can learn from your energy because you've gone through so many different lifetimes and acquired it. But it also means maybe you've picked up a lot of wounding along the way. So if there are things right now in this present day, that challenges that are coming up that you're facing, and it kind of seems like, God, why is the universe doing this to me? Or, we just kind of like, can I just have a break? There could be past life challenges presenting itself to you in this life to help you clear up some karmic energies, because you have the Eagle card. You are that divine truth seeker. This is like your divine mission is to break free from any of that bondage, that limiting belief systems, and to break others from that too. Sometimes we won't have that depth of understanding until we go through it ourselves. So I think you do have a very strong ability to connect with others and be outwardly social. So let's say if you're not fully an extrovert, maybe you're kind of in between, or maybe you are introvert, but people may think you're extroverted just because you can hold conversations really well. You do go out and you kind of fool people at least, or you really are this way. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of depth to you, and you may come across a lot of like wounded people to help heal them. And you don't really have to do too much. You're just being in your energy. It's like they get to model through you and co-regulate through your energy because you're tough. Like there's such a soldier energy, and I love that there was a nod to the Roman era of like ancient Rome, and I'm seeing with the gladiator here. So with this crossroads, with the situation that you're in, it's really like tuning into your heart, keeping that value system that you have, and pruning back the areas or pruning back any connections or relationships in your life that are dragging you down and keeping you in locked into those energies that you want to break out of. Because sometimes we can be around people or conditioned by these people, right? Like our family, our friends, our circles, our work. Maybe we're around people that kind of stay in that energy that you're trying to shift out of. And I think by you upholding this wisdom, upholding your truth, shining your light, your love, your heart, you have a big heart, is kind of like is leading the way for others. And that's what your beautiful goddess energy wants to shine out for others. It's like, it's funny because she's the daughter of the sun god Ra, and we're seeing again on the talons of this bird, this sun, this illuminating, radiant soul. Okay, so lastly, just to wrap this up, let's just get some bonus cards here. I want to see what messages come through for you. Okay. So lastly, to wrap this up, let's see a little bit more information about your goddess energy. Honesty. See, you're such a truth sayer. The energy of honesty supports our choice to be courageously truthful and genuine with kindness intact. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you got a lot of things thrown your way this life to like open those channels for you. So that way your gifts can be really expressed and come online. Because people need to hear what you have to say. People need to be reminded of living in integrity, and you just have a natural ability, natural internal system that guides you. So, and you listen to it, and that's what's really important here. Ooh, okay. The Merkaba and fertility. It's funny because this talks about how this is like a vehicle of your light body. We're going to get a little esoteric here, so bear with me if you're not very familiar. It's basically like our consciousness, our soul, our spirit can kind of condense itself, compact itself, and think of it like this little vehicle, and it can traverse through different time, space, dimensions. So this is talking about accessing our Akashic inheritance and merging the totality of our experience into the present moment for our highest purpose. Wow, you're a powerful creator. Let's see, fertility invites us to be more open, more courageous, more creative, more playful, joyful. Something beautiful to grow from our consciousness into a new, grander expression of ourselves. Which is interesting because we have Hera, the Pomona, who is tending to her garden, growing. That is literally about fertility. It's giving me the Empress card. Oh, you got two. We have Phoenix. How's that for a happily ever after? Look at rising from the ashes. Woohoo! Yeah. Clover, release your guilt. See, we were talking about that earlier. I was picking up about like, you probably have such a strong, you know, sense of justice and truth that you hold yourself up to such a high standard that it sometimes brings with it unnecessary guilt. And so even pruning back that addiction to guilt and suffering, it's weighing your heart in the matter, seeing with the eyes of your heart, not the eye, not, shoulda, woulda, coulda, I should have done this better. What if I did this? And how did I make this person? While that is a beautiful capacity, it's time to really put that to rest and move forward and go the distance, because others can sense your honesty. Others can sense how well-meaning you are. And as long as you stay in consistent alignment with speaking out, speaking from the heart, not speaking from the mind, others can feel that vibration through you, and you can just literally transform and purify a situation. Oh, this is interesting. I went to check the book about this card, and it said, you've come to a crossroads where you need to choose a direction, which we just got the Hecate card, where she was bringing that up about having to make a choice about what direction you want to go to, and being really clear in distilling those voices, those energies, the guilt, the burdens, and bringing back love into balance, bringing your heart of the matter and seeing through that lens to help guide you. You always have had that ability, the capacity to tap into your heart space. And that's what's going to guide you leading forward here. It does. Wow, look at the flames on the back and the ash too. It's like something really came crumbling down, burning down, rather metaphorically, or, it's like something like internally, whether this is like getting rid of the way that you see a certain outdated belief, or maybe something externally in your life it's like event after event after event that all crescendos and puts you in this vulnerable position where it's like Wakanda, Angela Bassett's character, like, I've lost everything. So there's such, and when you feel into that rawness, that potency of, who the F you are. You feel your power. You feel that part of you. It's like that lion that's roaring out of you. That's just like, when it's enough, and when, even if it's the own cage that you've built for yourself, even if like, no one was really stopping me from doing this, it was myself. But sometimes we need to have those moments that break that wall for us and shoots us into a different path that's more exciting, more joyful, where we get more out of life, especially when you've dealt with heavy things like death, whether that's physical death or the death of relationships, friendships, groups, what have you. It can really have a purifying energy of, after you're dealing with the depths of grief and the other emotions attached with it, it like puts you in such a new frame of reality that you wouldn't have had that depth of awareness had you not gone through this. I mean, it would be very, wouldn't be as potent as the viewpoints, the perspective that you have now, having to undergo this process. Whether you're in it, whether you just came out of it, or wherever you are on that journey, your goddess energy is here to remind you, these ladies, how beautiful, how radiant, and that you are here to deliver truths to people and to be truthful to yourself, to your soul. And it's time to bring that up, time to put that back online. That's why you're here. That's why you incarnated on this timeline, in this life. People need you before you even realize it, before they even realize it. You're really beautiful, special energy, and I hope you know that. I think you know that. You do know that. Not even I think. Of course, you You have the scales. You do know that. All right, group number 1. I hope you enjoyed your reading. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, group number 2. You chose Goddess Athena with inner strength, and you could be attracted to owls. And definitely, she's like the warrior kind of energy. If you recall, she is Zeus's daughter, and she sprang from his head, fully armored. I love Greek mythology. You're like, what? Okay, I guess we're going with that. So she is the protector of Athens and the patroness of scholars, artists, warriors. So, being the goddess of war, goddess of wisdom, goddess of civilization and intelligence, there's quite an intellect behind her, but her ability to strategize, to use her intelligence, her wit, and to see what steps to take, what the next 10 steps. She could be 10 steps ahead of whatever the other person is. So I feel like if this is a goddess energy that you embody or you mirror, those are the qualities in you that you may see applying in your daily life, in the roles that you play in your life. And it will depend how actualized this is for you, whether this is something, these aspects are something that you're working on and trying to come into a full alignment with those aspects. Sometimes it can, we may feel a little bit weak in those areas, but that doesn't mean that, like, for her to be the one that you were guided to means that it is something that you have, that you already, your soul has, your soul's growth knows this already. It's just maybe the human self that needs a little reminder. And so you may be going through your own experiences that show this other side of your personality or characteristics. And now for some of you, it'll be like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. This is totally me. What I like about Athena, there's this duality between her. It's kind of like this masculine and feminine. It's a bit of both energies, very balanced in her. So it's like she has that logic, the cleverness, the practicality, the strategic, but she has this like wisdom, this deep wisdom and guidance, this clarity that a lot of people would go to. So I wouldn't be surprised in your life if people look to you towards guidance and that you can offer this kind of clarity and strength. I can see you facing conflicts with that resilience, the ability to look at something and the strong personality that comes with it, that knows themselves and will go after it too. Like, this is somebody who I can see really running the show in a business, and knowing how to manage people and manage a network of people, how to build these relationships, but also speak out and speak up about what needs to get done. So I feel like you might also be attracted to pile number 1 a little bit. I feel like there's a little similarities. Theirs was expressed in a different dimension of their life, whereas this is like you have such a strong, like, it's a warlike energy, but not in a way that I would see just causing conflict for the sake of it. It's having a purpose, having a so strongly believe in what you do that you carry that strength in the way that you handle any kind of conflict or handle any kind of like projects that you get into. So you could have a strong personality. It's likely that people may be like, "Ooh, that was harsh." Like, but the other thing too I was getting is like maybe you're athletic or very involved in kind of sports or just had a affinity towards athleticism. I feel like you would be really good with like competition. not like a healthy competition. I feel like that really drives you and motivates you, is to like have a little bit of that healthy competition too. Just someone with a strong force of mind and will take whatever is required to get things done. So you're a great motivator. I feel like people will rely on you because it's like, oh, group two will get this job done. Like they're gonna, you have such a laser like focus and the passion behind it to get you to see through the end of a project or whatever goals that you have. Now, if this is something that you feel like, oh, I don't know if that's me, I want that, but I'm not really quite there. Well, this is why she's showing up then. This is just a push of like, this is when you tap in and you fully embrace this part of yourself. This is where you really excel. And so it's working with those energies that are inside of you that are ready to come out. And so it's like letting that part of you shine. Now, for others of you who are like, oh, this is totally me, and I already know this, I've got this down. It's maybe it could be more taming it or or just refining it a little bit. But she's definitely a great goddess for you to work with. And I love that we have on her shoulders there her little guide, her wisdom. So I feel like you have guides around you too that are also feeding you this wisdom, this information. But I feel like I can see you guys being more like clair cognizant, where you just have a knowing. It's like an inner knowing rather than the other clairs where you're feeling it or seeing visions and whatnot. I feel like your information, when you channel information, it just naturally comes in like through knowledge, through an inner knowing. Now, I also pulled another goddess to correspond with what your first one was, and you end up getting Anahita. It says emotional healing. She's beautiful. She's in these beautiful waterfall. She's like a little picture. Look at her jewelry. Very feminine energy. So she's an ancient Persian goddess of water, fertility, patroness of women and children. And then I found out she's also a goddess of war. So that's funny. And we have both of these goddesses showing up in your spread who relate to war. So I wanted to look at that in a little bit. So Anahita, she rules over all the waters, rivers, streams, lakes, oceans. You may feel very like you gravitate towards water if you live near water, or you feel like you have to, like you really feel refreshed and renewed. You're just very drawn to water sources. Her energy could be influencing you in that way because of the like cleansing and purifying nature of that. So she's also associated with the planet Venus, and so she represents harmony, beauty, and love, and just known for that spiritual and emotional nourishment, which I thought was really interesting paired with Athena, because we have inner strength. It's like having the vitriol, wait, is that the right word? No, I feel like that's a negative word. Backtrack. Not vibrato. I cannot think of the word that I want to say. Or vibrato, vitriol. I'm tongue-tied today. She just has this intensity in her, but I love that it's equally balanced out by this emotional healing aspect of Anahita. So somebody who's very compassionate and unifying and encouraging community. So I feel like you're someone who, as much as, you can go in some senses 0 to 100, where you're like flip a switch, and there's a beauty in the ability to strongly know and act on what you know. I feel like not many people, either they're foolishly doing it or in a naive way, or they hold themselves back and will ruminate on it and won't really take any action. Whereas you're someone who's very action focused, action oriented. You want to see the results. What's beautiful is that you're working with this emotional energy. So there's this depth to you, the way that you nurture your emotions. and discovered your own healing through that process. And so that's something that you offer in your guidance with others. And this is actually where you get the depth of your wisdom, is by traversing into these deeper waters. So, not only just a badass over here, but you also have such an incredible emotional capacity, and your spirituality is very entwined with that as well. And so, these two working in tandem, I feel like you can really get a lot done in in larger communities. So we need people to be the like the movers, the shakers, the ones who believe in a cause and will act on it. So you might be spending more time. If this energy is more actualized, you're using your emotional capacities to inform you and build systems and networks of people, involved in different communities, and really, or corporations, or the whatever sphere that you're kind of localized in. I feel like you can really thrive in those spaces when you kind of take charge of, like, all right, let's go here, let's do this, this is the game plan, where you're using your strategizing in tandem with, like, you're not just doing it for power. You're not, there's no power hungriness behind it. It's like you're informed with that beautiful spiritual emotional nature. Now, the fact that they both had war energy connected to them was interesting to me. So I'm trying to think about that. And I think, so obviously we have in human history, there's war has always been prevalent. We're still dealing with war, sadly, even in this day and age. But I always think about how war spiritually is also a representation of the war that we have within our own selves or within our own human psyches, our collective. And so I feel like you can also do a lot of healing work in those spaces too, with dealing with trauma, those who feel broken and confused and just unconscious, unaware of the pain and the wounds that they carry and inflict on others, unnecessary pains so that could be informing the groups that those people are in, the policy, like if they're in government, working in government, or um, religious communities. It's like the people who still carry these heavy wounds. I feel like you're a great person who can handle that kind of energy, and that might be where your healing arena is. It's like you know how to not take shit from these people, but also respond in a more emotionally healthy way, so they won't walk over you. We need a strong person like this who can stand in those spaces where people who are in power, who are corrupted, who have lost their way, but they are maybe falling into the wrong circles. I feel like you're the person that can, like, rally up the troops and course correct and bring them into a better path. So I'm wondering too if you've had lifetimes where you were in war settings and having to learn the lay of the land, the framework, the ins and outs of it, but you also just have this incredible wisdom and depth that allowed people to really open up to you, and also that led into your strategizing. So, okay, let's see what other goddess qualities that you embody. Okay, we have. Oh my gosh, the Valkyries. Redemption. That's so funny. Again, this nod to war. You definitely had some you were like a prominent figure in the war. Maybe you've also, if any of you have ever worked in the military or some sort, or maybe you have family members who've worked in the military. I wouldn't be surprised, but this is crazy. Look at all the shields, the armor. Wow. You're like, we're sending group 2 to the battlefield of life. The magical key. Look, you got another bird there. Interesting colors. Oh, you got Martyr. This all lines up. Martyr, learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause. Shadow attribute is addiction to self-pity. I love how everything's just like lining up. This is so powerful. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. First of all, it's amazing that you're even here in this life, serving the people. Look at your energies. You're literally a phoenix. Like, okay, this deck has like other animals like an oyster or a bear, an octopus. Here you are, the freaking phoenix rising from the ashes. Oh, again. Okay, group one has a nod to the phoenix a little bit in there. So if you ever felt drawn to group one, that would be really funny. And then let's see. We have Gemini, the group two. Ooh, Sage. And again, we have this sword, using your weapons here. It's like your wisdom is your weapon. Pile number two. If you felt like going through life where you kind of had this sense of being on guard, being defensive, had a tendency for that, or it's almost like always ready. Like if there's a sound going off in the distance, somebody turns a corner. If you're not so much jumpy, but you're somebody who's always like prepared, like ready to go to battle. Like if your nervous system kind of goes into that alarmed state of like, I bet you've had past lifetimes like this where it came from that. And maybe you've had that even as an upbringing. I'd be curious to know if you grew up in an environment where you kind of always felt like hyper vigilant, always ready. What is the RuPaul quote? You ain't gotta get ready if you stay ready. So there's this, and it goes along with that martyr energy. Now I thought that was interesting. So the Valkyries are known for they would appear in Norse mythology in the battlefield, taking the dead soldiers off to Valhalla. And so their energy is wild. I love that. We love the wildness of it. But also, it says that they offer redemption and relief from the weariness of battle. And says most of us these days are not in physical combat, but life may certainly feel like a daily battle at times. Sometimes getting through a long day full of tests or presentations, feeling outcasted, or even just being in a fight with those closest to us can make it feel like we've survived a battle. And so the Valkyries, their power and wildness urges us to exhibit courage in our lives and to release ourselves from the bondage of regret. And so that's the important lesson here with this is learning. Okay, well, let me wrap this up and then I want to get to like where this is going in your energy. So I feel like you're somebody who acknowledges that in others because it's something you've had to deal with yourself in your own life. But you see when others are struggling and your ability to be with them and sit with them and fight with them, stay alongside them in their own battles too. There's that martyrdom that comes in, and I could even see you probably have a tendency to take on other people's problems and other people's drama in the effort to help, but could also sometimes backfire where it just depletes your energy and depletes you, and you're left feeling and dealing with all the emotional work of that because you have such a natural gift for it. And I think people lean on you as a source for that source of healing. Because with this Phoenix card, it's like you're purifying that energy for them. You're literally alchemizing. You're transforming this bitterness, this pain, these resentments. And with the peace of that comes with like forgiveness, the act of forgiveness, and not holding those grudges anymore. It's like the Phoenix comes along and purifies that energy for us. And we now use that pain and we've turned it into wisdom. We've turned it into knowledge. We've turned it into our Excalibur over here. So I think that's one of your beautiful gifts. You have a knack for doing that for people. It's like, it's interesting you got this Gemini. So some of you may be Geminis, but what I'm also seeing is this ability to switch roles, switch masks with different groups. It's like a shape-shifting energy. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's that you know how to tune in with different groups and different sets of people and still just work with those energies that they're carrying and use your strategizing. You use your emotional abilities and capacities to do your best healing work. Even if you're not even intentional about it, it's just something that you naturally do, and you can kind of keep switching it up. You have this mysteriousness about you that maybe it can be difficult to know who you are because you are going into these different groups and you have this ability, and maybe you are very others focused in the cause and what you're dedicated to. But I see with this magical key over here, I feel like trying to be optimistic was something that was challenging, especially with a past lives like that. It can be hard to tap into joy and freedom and liberation and all the hippie lovey things. It's like you've seen so much destruction and pain and trauma and suffering. It's like, how do I ignore that? I feel it so much. Look at how her hands are cupped over her heart. So if you feel like you're one of those people, one of those souls who are so greatly impacted by the devastation of what happens in this world, whether it be in your community or the world at large on the global scale, I feel like you're someone who just feels it all, but also has that desire to just help and get out there. So there's almost this like shouldering this responsibility that isn't you. I think that it's not your responsibility, but it's just you have such a beautiful heart that wants to give, that wants to fight for others. But it can bring on, in its own way, of a susceptibility to fear, depression, hopelessness, and worrying, like worst case scenarios, because you're the strategist. But if starts to go into its shadow side, it's like using its own fear and depleting your own inner resources, your own emotional health, and your inner emotional bank gets depleted, and you want to build up that reserve so that way you can actually be useful and helpful. Not useful, that's not the right word. You are, but you know what I mean, where you're someone, when you're tapped into and you're embracing your full energy, and you're not leaking all of your energy into these other places that in the end aren't really going to help the matter. It's kind of like, how useless worrying is, where you're like, is worrying going to fix the problem? It creates an illusion, like we're it's like masking this idea that we think we're using our imaginations, but we're using our imaginations in not the best way. So I think Athena is coming forward to say, like, hey, to remind you, kind of like lift your chin back up and say, hey, we have this really beautiful gift that it's time to really hone in on and use your imagination to work on building a better world, a better possibility, and just start small. It's not a big It's not this big stage, global stage that you have to be a part of. So I think people see you as like this little beacon here, and that a reminder she's giving you is that you have this natural ability to do this. And so, but making sure that you're taking care of your own emotional needs first, putting on your own oxygen mask first before you go out and really help and save others. Because you have that natural drive to do that, but it's important that you are nurturing to your own self first. Okay, so I want to wrap this up and get some final cards, some bonus cards from Spirit. Oh, I did want to point out, so I pulled out the book for the animal card for the Phoenix. Look at that. Oops. Look at the first line right there. Freedom from suffering and past karma. Reincarnation. So bam, there they are. They were coming in to remind you or to help you piece together. I think that's what's important, is to understand where a lot of this emotional turbulence came from, or this sense of like strong sense of like, I gotta go do something, I gotta fix something, I gotta help people, just to help you understand. Maybe there could have been a questioning of like, why do I feel this so strongly? Why do I feel so motivated to do this? Where I see other people and they're not as torn up about these things, or am I just emotionally too invested, or am I just too passionate about these things? So if you've ever had those questionings, it came from these other lifetimes where you had a big role in that, in shaping the destiny, shaping the futures of the collective energy you were around and the culture that you were in. So I think you are burning a lot of karma in this life too, to help you kind of break free from that bondage, the unconscious traps that have kept you stuck. And so to get you back into balance and bring back your power. And you do that for others. I think that you are a purifying energy for other people to come back, and you take their wounds, their trauma, and they can work through you in a sense. And it just could be just by the way you said something. It was just by the way you shown how to do something. You modeled an example for them to step into their power. And so that's one of your goddess abilities that you just naturally exude, and others can feel that and tap into that for themselves just by mirroring what you do so naturally. So very cool. Okay, and these are just going to be some bonus messages about your goddess energy, any advice from Spirit, or just any confirmation. Intimacy. The energy of intimacy supports us trusting that we are safe to allow closeness. Interesting. So yeah, maybe that defensiveness energy could have rippled into this lifetime, by possibly. You know who you are. If this doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it. If you're way past that, you've already graduated, then props to you. But I think those things will always kind of follow us in some way, in some avenue, or some, we'll be doing really well, and in some area of our life will kind of challenge us, or even if we were doing well in that area for a while, something else comes along and just throws us off the path a little bit. So this is just reminding to come back to this ability of your emotional healing, the ability that your intimacy allows you to reach these emotional depths. So I think in this life you're learning how to trust and live from that open heart a little more, and developing that closeness, that intimacy, because it does require that. Oh, interesting. You had the Gemini with the two masks, because it's like I was saying maybe people felt like couldn't really know the real you because of the way that you can go into I think it was just by habit of like these situations you might go into. Only take this if this really sinks in with your life. If this doesn't apply, don't use it. Don't make it fit. But if this feels like, yeah, I could see that. I do kind of keep a distance, an arm's length towards people I don't trust easily. I've, been burned, or maybe it hasn't really been that many experiences, but you just kind of came in with that feeling, which again could be past lives coming in here. So that energy of intimacy is coming through to help you reconnect and realign and bring these two major goddesses to harmonize in your energy center. Throat chakra. So this is about self-expression, our sense of peace and balance. It's all about how you communicate too. So communicating with intimacy. So maybe that's something that you're learning to really refine, especially with this emotional healing. So this is where I'm going to think it requires a lot of strength to be deeply honest and talk about our what really matters to our heart. Something like to be seen. Oh, in this it says into me see or something like that in the book and for intimacy. And that vulnerability goes a long way. People really appreciate that because, again, you have such an intelligent mind. It's like you probably have this emotional intelligence and your emotional vocabulary is very well developed. So when you open up your heart space and get really honest and really clear to people like what's going on and you speak about it, it's like they're having epiphanies about it through you. They're like, whoa, I've never thought of that way. That's really well said. So I encourage you to keep speaking up about that if that's one of your gifts. It is one of your gifts. You just have to either nurture it or you just keep doing it. That's what you're in. What? Does she want to come out? Look at her sword. You have a lot of... If you like swords and weapons, well, there you go. Garden. Something lovely will grow from this. Yeah, you're cultivating something. You're nurturing this. And especially with the waters, the healing waters, spending time in nature, spending time in water, I think that's going to create that softness for you to land in and for you to kind of open yourself up a little more. And be that approachable energy for people to feel that warmth through you. But yeah, I feel like this is all of the seeds, the grounding, the framework for where you're building your life or how you've been building your life. Can I just read this card real quick? Because it kind of talks about everything we were discussing. It talks about to sit and dwell on our pain, or we learn how to grow something lovely out of it. Ready or not, it's time the next chapter of your life. It's time for the next chapter of your life. Do the thing you feel you most need to do in order to aid your healing, even if it feels selfish. Sometimes it needs to be a little selfish in order for it to work in the long run. Worry about focusing on you for now. So this is where that martyr energy was coming in because you have a tendency to want to protect and save people. But sometimes they got to sit in their own mess. They got to deal with their own karma. You don't need to take on their karma. So that may have been a lesson in this life for you, is to, and also be really honest. I think that was something, even speaking personally here, where I was learning, I didn't realize how I was distracting from my own pain by being so focused on other people's lives, because I had that similar kind of martyrdom energy that wanted to work through me. And so if you resonate with that, it's like there's this other layer of going beyond the ego, even if it's like cloaked in this idea of like, there is a pure intention of wanting to help, but it's like, ooh, am I just distracting myself with their drama, what's going on with them and how I can help them, or I'm talking about it with my friends, and it's like, or well, how can I apply this to me? Like, I need care. I feel drained. I feel like I need to lick my wounds and nurture myself and really look within. So, I see this little rosebud in her hands just glowing, this aura around her. So I think the goddesses are trying to nurture you on that path of staying focused on yourself. And this is where your intimacy, your power is developing. The more you can sit and stay there with yourself and keep cultivating that self-love and reframing those thoughts, those worries, the despair, and kind of shifting over into a higher frequency, because it's like you've been through all these battles before. It's like you don't need to live in that state anymore. And so it's like rewiring your system, your nervous system. I feel like you're kind of, I'm really drawn to how she's just in this forest or in this garden. And when you think about nature, it has a very co-regulating energy of just harmonizing the erratic energies that are inside of us. So the parts of us that feel like it's out of balance, out of whack, it's like we go back into nature and we're like, oh, deep breaths. This is where I'm at. This is when I relax and put my swords down. Like literally her sword is, it's still upright. I love that it's still like also ready to but it's off to the edge there. She's not holding it anymore. She can, relax her shoulders and unwind. So that I could see in your energy here is learning how to just relax in this lifetime as well. Still do what you feel drawn to, but knowing when to look within and pause when you need to pause, take the breaks when you need to take the breaks, take a walk when you need to walk, and say no to things if it doesn't, excite you or get you, feel, or the situations that aren't peaceful to you. And that you've tried everything, and that, you don't really have a part to play in that. Those are those moments where we are like, you know what, I'm going to back away and just do my own thing. And so I think that's what you may be learning in this life a little bit, but you're getting there. It's beautiful. I love your badassery. I'm calling on you for, if I need any kind of protection. You're like the Secret Service over here, or what am I thinking of? The bodyguard. So, wow, you are beautiful. What a wonderful soul you are. Thanks for being here. Anyways, that is all I have for you, group number 2. I hope you enjoyed that, but I will see you in the next reading. Bye. Welcome, group number 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose Mother Mary with Eternal Faith and the Angel Aura Quartz, Rose Quartz. Not Angel Aura Quartz, that's a different one. It's just Rose Quartz. It's a beautiful little angel. I started a reading, and right before I hit the record button, I was thinking of this song from Beauty and the Beast. I was just humming it, and I was like, wait, what song is this? And it's the one where it's like something there, and it's like when Belle is singing, and she's having that moment of realization that the Beast is actually kind. Like, she's like, there's something sweet and almost kind, but he was mean and he was coarse and unrefined, and now he's dear and so unsure. I wonder why I didn't see it there before. So I was thinking that's kind of random, but at the same time, I think Belle's ability with looking for the good in others, seeing through, the masks, the facade. It's like she had such a pure heart that she could see the rough exterior. So something about that, I was like, that has to apply here for you guys, especially when you have Mother Mary, because she is such a nurturing, mothering kind of energy. And there's just so much unconditional love that radiates from this energy, from this pile, that I think that is one of your super goddess abilities that you bring into this life, and that others feel nurtured by. So with your choice of Mother Mary, we're talking about your goddess energy, what you're most resonating with in this cycle of your life, and what aspect of your goddess energy wants to come towards the front line a bit more. And with Mary coming forward, obviously this is the mother of Jesus, our virgin mother here. And she represents divine motherhood, maternal love. And I just see with your energy, you have such a loving heart with so much compassion. I strongly feel like your group is the highly evolved soul groups that work with Christ consciousness, embodying Christ consciousness. And all it is a state of consciousness. It's working with that awakened heart center. And you're seeing through a state of oneness. It's like the highest vibration of energy to be working with. It's very highly advanced. So I see a lot of you, I feel like, are working towards becoming an ascended master, if not already have reached the ascended mastery, but maybe you came back to this earth to work through your mission, or maybe work out some other aspects of yourself that your soul needed some growth for. Otherwise, though, I do feel like you guys are the highly advanced soul groups supporting humanity's evolution right now. So you may have a deep call to carry out great acts of love and support in guiding others to open up their hearts. And for this energy to come through, I feel like it's also a process for you having to go through your own heart awakenings, your own spiritual awakenings, to kind of remind you of this energy that you're here to bring through the collective. So sometimes it can bring, depends. Everyone's going to be in different areas. So sometimes it'll be like a mass group of having to endure a lot of suffering to sort of reach these inner depths and spaces. Others of you may have just already came in very strongly with this sense of wisdom and guidance and compassion. This selflessness was very strong and rampant in your energy already. So, maybe you didn't have to go through any kind of obstacles to unlock this or uncrack this, but either way, I feel like there are strong spiritual energies supporting you. You have a strong support to the angelic kingdom, and you might be receiving angelic signs and messages, seeing angel numbers constantly, like everywhere. You might be drawn to working with angels, archangels, seraphims. I see them a lot, like hanging around your energy. And this energy you're connected to, it's very soft and gentle. It's very warm. So your goddess energy offers emotional safety for others, and because of your nurturing spirit. It's the energy of that unconditional love that others get to feel into, and rest into. This energy, Sunny, made me want to, I kept hearing like choir music, singing. I mean, even literally, I was like singing in the beginning of this reading. But I also wanted to, I was gravitating towards like chanting, like Gregorian chanting, or like just choir. See, like just the sounds, the voices of angels, right? Like it's something about that, which if you think about it, is like that high frequency, that high, it puts you into it, almost into that altered state of that higher vibration. So you can kind of access these higher divine energies, this higher intelligence when you're in those relaxed meditative states. You may be attracted to roses. I know with Mary's energy, there's roses are very common to see. So you might be seeing a lot of rose symbolism, or just roses in general might be really popping up for you, or just something you've always kind of paid attention to in the background. yeah, I feel like you're a channel for higher. You're like a conduit for the higher guidance. And it's just this life, really learning to open and trust that guidance that's coming through you, and trusting that you are the one that is here to help deliver those messages. And I don't even think, what's funny is, like, I don't even think you really have to say anything. It's just your presence, your aura. It's so big. It is huge. It's just massive. It's just like people get activated when they step into your energy. It's really beautiful. Then the second card I pulled for you guys, the other goddess from this deck, is White Buffalo Calf Woman with Sacred Wisdom. And both of these were just like highly ascended masters kind of coming through here. So these are like high up on the hierarchy of spiritual leaders here. So White Buffalo Calf Woman, real quickly, she's from the Lakota legend. So anybody who has like kind of these indigenous ties, Native American or different tribes, any connection to that, she is coming through. And so with the Lakota myths, though, she's a divine messenger who gifted the sacred pipe to the people, along with her teachings of respect for all of life. So she embodies purity, wisdom, spiritual guidance, and with the buffalo representing abundance and strength, your goddess energy offers spiritual healing. So there's a deep connection to nature, spiritual realms, and you see that interconnectedness of life. I feel like you have a strong sense of that network, that underbelly of like what connects all of life. Because it's one thing to say that, but it's like holding that energy, embodying that energy of like knowing and trusting like the forces at work. That feels different, being in that around someone who's like that. So yeah, very strong energies coming forward for you and your goddess energy. So I strongly feel that you have a spiritual lineage, a strong spiritual lineage that you've acquired over lifetime after lifetime. It's like you bringing in this high level of soul mastery, and you're so attuned to receiving guidance from the divine light. It's unreal. And like I was saying, like when people are near you, I feel like their energy gets activated. It's like you're purifying these spaces, these energies. It's like your purity and your quality of spirit naturally upgrades those around you. And your aura just feels like it's like sparkly and white. Like your crown chakra must be like lit up. So I feel like you're just this energy of peace that people can really co-regulate through you. It's like by just mirroring you, it's like you can diffuse situations because of that peaceful air that you bring. And I'm really getting that the way that you see the world, you have a bigger vision, a bigger vantage point than most. And what you say is so potent, is so poetic and powerful. You are a channel for divine wisdom. Like even in your solitude, your silence is so strongly felt. It's beautiful. A deep sense of harmony comes in through that silence. It says everything. So yeah, I see a lot of spiritual guides supporting you. Okay, let's get a little bit more cards to see more about this goddess energy that's coming in. But you already have, you're just stepping more into that. Oh, two wanted to come out. We have, Andromache. I don't know how to say that. We have strength. Ooh, we're getting a little more masculine kind of energy coming through here. And then Morgan Le Fay, magic. Interesting. This is like a sort of a twist in this energy. Ooh, Lilith? What? Okay, dichotomy. Look at this spread. This is so contrasting. We got good girl, bad girl. I like it though. I like that you could just switch it up. Okay, tell me about group 3. We have the turtle. Oh, one card came out. Destroyer. Whoa. Okay, releasing what is potentially destructive. Preparing for new life. Shadow attributes. Intoxication with destructive power. Destroying others' dreams or potential. Okay. Then. Oh gosh, that's so many. I'm not gonna do all those. We got Gypsy Soul. Reunion. Ooh, okay, let me get one more. Interesting. Okay. Wounded. Okay, well, first of all, it is 11:11 while I'm recording this. So I really love this because it took a whole other direction, but that's just at first glance. The more that I kind of seep into this energy, it's like, oh yeah, of course. If you're an old soul, if you're a soul that's has developed this soul mastery, you've experienced all facets of life to where in order for your soul expansion, your own growth, you've had to go into these darker spaces. Like I was saying earlier in the reading that, a lot of times to tap into this energy, it's like you had to go through your own stint of suffering. Not you have to, but it's like you gain another perspective, and you're also able to access more people. If you're in this position where you're going to be helping others or really having an impact, because you, group 3, have a huge impact in the spaces you occupy. And it's like you can reach more people. They're going to listen more because they're like, well, how did group 3 do it and get through this? And, they got faced with all these challenges and all this life crap thrown their way. How did they get through that? You didn't play victim. I'm sure it was really tempting to, because I'm really drawn to right now as I'm talking this wounded. Oh my god, the rose. Dope. And it fell right underneath Mary. But yeah, it's kind of like you don't really show it too much because look how it's just like on her back. So no one would be really able to see it until it's like revealed. And with that rose, it's like there's this tenderness around those woundings, the scars, the bitterness. It's like you grew that into wisdom. You grew that pain into beauty. and used it to weave a different story, to stitch together a different story is what I'm saying. And it's very inspirational. And so, where do I want to start? It's like there's so many directions I want to go in. Firstly, with the idea that you have an ancient soul. So the turtle card here does talk about being an ancient soul. And having acquired so many life experiences that you are quite the storyteller. And talks about how, the turtle shell is kind of like collecting all these experiences under its shell for later use. And it's a potent energy. And how the turtle can connect, has an ability to get to such depths with the water, but also be so grounding at the same time. And be very strongly rooted. Yeah, there's this like eternal nature to you. And with this gypsy soul, it's like you've gone to so many different lives. You've lived so many different experiences, whether within this life itself, maybe you've gone through, maybe you feel like you've lived lifetimes within one life. Or if not that, it's like you've also just had a lot of lifetimes in all sorts of different places that brought out all these different character traits within you. And this is how you have such a unique perspective, a unique blend. So to others, it may look like it's, this soft, loving personality. But in reality, it's like, oh, baby, you don't even know half of the battles that I've been through. So to round it out and to get into this state, this is where this self-mastery comes in. The high-level soul work comes in. Because a lot of people would probably look at you and be like, you went through all of that. How can one person, and you turned out the way you did? Like, how would you not be so jaded by the world? But that's you really took all those lessons and you just thrived, Let's talk a little bit about these characters up here. So we have over here Andromache, no, don't be too harsh on me for mispronouncing that, with strength. Now I love that we have this warrior. Look at her face. Ready for battle. She's the queen of an all-female warrior tribe from the Amazons. And her name means fighter of men. And these were women trained in hand-to-hand combat. And so this is about having equality of partners, feminine power, setting boundaries, which is necessary for success. So it's interesting when I saw that whole part about having equal partnership, having the balance of the masculine and the feminine, this feminine empowerment. I saw that over here with Lilith's energy. Now, if familiar with the story with the Garden of Eden, which is funny, they're going back to the Abrahamic religions. Lilith is the myth of where the first female created in the Garden of Eden, but she wanted to be equals with her male counterpart. And then that's when she got casted out of Eden because she's supposed to be beneath her partner. This is where the patriarchal storyline starts to come in here. And she was kind of like treated as some kind of is it succubus? No, not succubus. Siren? What's the word? Oh my gosh. I can't remember. But something like they painted her as someone that's evil and demonic just because girlfriend wanted to be of equal footing. So this is where we're seeing this feminine empowerment, this self-actualization. So to tap into this holy energy, there is a moment where you've had to come into an awareness of self-worth, self-love, That is such a high vibration to get into and to apply it into your life. And that's not easy when you start to walk into spaces and it's so nuanced, right? Sometimes those energies are so nuanced and you have to be so sure of yourself and so sure of your beliefs. And when there is mistreatment of others, do you speak up? How do you handle it? And so it feels like with this strength card, the Lilith card, you seemed like an advocate, or this energy, this goddess energy that you have in its purest form is someone who is an advocate for women, for not even just that, is just for both men and women. It's not, I feel like you're balanced in the way it's not the feminism that's like, we hate men. You're not at all like about that. It's just like, we just want to be on an equal footing. I don't trash talk men. You are all created in it's that unity consciousness. It's that Christ consciousness again. It's like we're all spirit in a physical form. This hierarchy is baloney. So I feel like you're exercising this personal power with this kind of goddess energy. And with Morgan Le Fay, which is interesting, I've been really drawn to the Avalon stories and Merlin and King Arthur. So it's funny, this card came up right now. And so she's all about kind of I believe she was like an enchantress or sorceress, and she's regarded as somebody working with magic, but also the magic that's in nature that we have all within ourselves. So her energy with the magic, and I was kind of drawn to how Lilith has all these like sacred geometry patterns as well. I think you do have this ability. You might be drawn to working with magic, but this kind of magic is a more pure. It's not like we're putting curses on people or doing things like that. Your soul's has a bigger vision beyond that. You don't deal with that kind. I don't know if you do, but I don't know. I feel like this is being counterbalanced with the Mother Mary and the white buffalo calf woman, because again, they see everything through this non-dualistic perspective where they do defend where they need to defend, but at the same time, it's not just causing chaos for the sake of chaos. Now, we do have this destroyer card, which is about this destructive energy, but it's because you're this, it feels like you're on this mission where you're meant to bring in this beautiful divinity, but then you're calling out the corruption. You're calling out, it's like people who are in your presence naturally feel like they can't stay around you for too long if they're at such a low vibration, a low density, where their energy is very corrupt. They're lying, they're backstabbing, cheating, doing just, dirty work. It's like they either want to come clean to you or they will stay away from you. Your vibration is so high, it's like difficult for them to just stay. Or they might be annoyed by the way that you have such a deep perspective. It's kind of like people getting irritated with positive people or people who have a lot of depth. And they either judge them as like, oh, you're just full of yourself, or, oh, you're just, whatever it is. But it really, what's happening underneath the layers is like they can't stand your light because you shine light. Look at her. She's about to fall into this wound. You shine light on other people's wounds. And it is so intimidating, so real, so potent, so raw. It's like it causes such internal chaos. Like they can't ignore it anymore. Maybe they've spent their lives distracting themselves, but your goddess energy is like, you will show them where they were hiding from themselves, how they were causing harm to others, harm to themselves. And you will also, at that very same way, show them how to love and nurture themselves. Maybe reuniting their inner selves too. Again, this masculine, feminine energy, which is funny. We had the women in these decks all about advocating for the feminine, but really advocating it just so that way we could come back into harmonizing with our masculine energies. And so this is why we have these disruptions, because if it's too imbalanced in the masculine or too imbalanced in the feminine, this is when we start to see a lot of chaos and disharmony, and things not working out. So, wow, your goddess energy is, I was not joking about how big it is. Like, this is intense. I love it. You're causing all kinds of spiritual awakenings in people, and you're just probably walking into the room. You probably just say like a few words or a few lines, and then you leave people thinking about what you just said and ruminating on that, and saying, like, watching you live your life, live the way you live after the things that you've experienced. And they're just like, well, shit, I need to get my act together. It's like they can't do the victim mentality, especially when they come up to someone like you. It's like, who's been through a lot. It's like, you know what? I can't even, I can't get by with the same sympathy that I would get from others by playing the victim. You could have done that, but you chose to evolve out of that. You don't flaunt that flag. You just turn it into wisdom. That's the alchemy. That's the magic that you do here. So, wow, badass. I love that. Okay, next. I want to just grab some bonus cards about your goddess energy, just to see what Spirit wants to say in regards to that. Okay, let's find out just a few more messages about your goddess energy. If there's anything that Spirit wants to let you know. Okay, we've got intuition, which says the energy of intuition supports our ability to conceive the subtle language of the realms beyond the three-dimensional reality. I think I'm gonna get one more of these. Okay. We have grace. Wow. The frequency of grace supports our smooth adaptation to and anticipation of life's currents and changes as we evolve toward a higher version of ourselves on this earthly plane, bridging the divine with the human essence. Okay, we have discernment. The frequency of discernment supports our ability to view the world and the people around us from a place of inner balance and detachment, yet with compassion and wisdom. You have homeward. Take yourself out on a date. Look at that. She's a little bird messenger. Which I always think with birds, they're like messengers of the divine, messengers of the angelic realm. So if you have little birds that come visit you often, those are definitely little messengers for you. And then we have protest. Start a revolution. Ooh, you came to do some work. I like this. Yeah, you are helping. I feel like you're helping women really tapping into their power, tapping into who they are. You came in with a very strong intuitive system, your intuitive guidance system, and working and developing on honoring your emotional self really strengthens and refines that connection to the divine. And the more that you practice discernment, so it's tuning, because you're going to have to tune into this. It's really going within and not externalizing your answers. It's not going to be in a book. It's not going to be in that podcast. And while that's great to expose yourself to other kinds of information to help you learn, at the end of the day, we'll get so bombarded with information. The more that you can make contact with your intuition and developing the guidance from your higher self, and then the more success that you're going to have in your life, because you're going to know which route to take, when to decline offers, when to not take every single opportunity that comes your way. This is that practice of discernment and that Christ consciousness too, because when you're tapping into this consciousness, you know when to go with the flow. You're like, wait, stop, don't go any further, or yes, go forward, move ahead, collect $200, or do not pass go. So, I think that's one of your superpowers, your gifts there, and to hone that gift a little bit more, because you're going to be using that with protest. I want to talk to people who are going to be on all different kind of ranges of this, because some of you might be on a bigger, larger scale. I think just even collectively, a lot of women are stepping into this role and advocating for their needs, advocating for their rights, especially when laws are being created to sort of challenge the right that women have, or the communities that are challenging some of our rights. So I feel like as a collective, we are stepping more and more into our more actualized selves, but even on a smaller scale. So this could be in the workplace, or even within the home, within a family system, a family unit, friend groups, other kinds of dynamics. That's where it starts. It's like really getting to know your power in the situation, but that power is like that divine power. It's not the ego power just to like, well, it's our turn now and you guys had enough. Like, it's more of a knowing of like, everybody deserves to be on equal footing here. I think sometimes too, I'm getting a lot, like some of you are like kind of like the earth angels here, but what we might be having a hard time is receiving of putting ourselves first. This is where this self-worth, self-love comes in. So I feel like this, take yourself on a date. It's like doing things, reminding yourself, because you can be so others focused and wanting to help, and it's like having to make sure to develop that soul mastery is also including that self-love for yourself. And that's where the magic really happens, when you're tapping into your joy. It's interesting because it's kind of like that may be the protest too within the self, is like, I'm going to do things for me. I'm going to go book that trip for me. I'm going to go take that course that I've always wanted to do. Or explore other communities, other friendships. It's like making sure you do things for yourself, and how that energy is going to start a catalyst of change for yourself and for others, for your community, and others will admire you for that. And, it's teaching them how to step into that, treating themselves with that same love and kindness. Your ability to use the energy of grace is that's really what's going to speed up this evolution. Because, yeah, you're on this accelerated path. And I do see you doing wonderful things with this goddess energy, this energy that like helps others and bonds together and really gets to be an advocate. But I'm seeing both here, both with like the external, like helping others, and then the internal of like making sure you're taking care of yourself, especially when you're such a big giver. A lot of times it's so hard for us to be the receivers of that and learning what it means to be a receiver, right? Receiving compliments, receiving gifts, not being the first one to act. Sometimes just letting others take the wheel, take the front seat, because sometimes we'll fall into dynamics where we have a natural pull to do that, but letting others step up and then you get to be the receiver. So I think that's something that's worth exploring there, and that the spirit wants to bring back to, that you have such a beautiful, loving spirit that you deserve to experience that yourself just as much as you are giving that out to others. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end it there. I hope you enjoyed your reading. You are a beautiful goddess energy. I love it. I loved reading for you. And we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Hi, group number 4. Welcome to your reading. You chose Artemis as your goddess energy with Untamed Spirit. And then also corresponding with this deck is the Rose Quartz Heart. And as I've been saying with each of the groups, as I go into this reading, this can talk about a season of your life, a cycle of your life, where this particular energy that you are resonating with is ready to come to the forefront and ready to be experienced. So if you've been feeling nudges in a certain direction, or feeling confused or lost and trying to come back to self, come back to home, this particular energy, that aspect of your soul, is here to show you where you're ready to grow, where you're ready to evolve, and also just to guide you back into something, you feeling back your energy, taking back your energy. Because as we move through the world, as we go through our day-to-day lives, and then, we look back, and sometimes we would have preferred to make different choices. And so that may have been on our conditioning, what we thought we should have done, what we think others expect of us. And, and in some ways, it's those demands help us stay in a tight system, whether it's at work or at home life or school life, wherever the demands are, there is a level of expectation there, and those needs that need to get met in those systems. However, sometimes it can come at a cost, right? Like, we may lose touch with ourselves. We may feel like imbalanced in some area of our life. So with these goddess energies stepping forward, it's kind of like reminding you, if you've been feeling imbalanced or not, they're wanting to tap into their energy, embodying more of this energy to bring back that fullness, that richness of life, to feel connected and plugged in again. So some of us may be a little more developed and are very in tuned with those inner seasons of our lives. And so we make the necessary steps to shift and change in what our soul demands of us. And then others of us, we're just barely awakening to this process, or maybe we're stepping into a new phase and we're not quite sure what our soul wants us to do, right? Sometimes we're kind of confused. We're like, well, I've kind of been living this one way and I've been feeling stagnant. So I'm ready to shake things up and shift things out. And so that way I can feel connected to my life and feel balanced again, because it's a great feeling. And it's always a little distressing when we can feel something's not quite right. And others, it's like you're just already fully in this energy, and this is more of a validation and reminder that yes, this is who you are. You know this, and this is part of your soul aspects. So with Athena, not Athena, oh my gosh, that was the other pile. I always get Athena and Artemis mixed up. It's kind of like the Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg effect. They don't look the same, they're not the same, but for some reason you just always mix them up, their names up. Anyways, so Artemis she's the twin sister of the god Apollo, and her parents are Zeus and the Titaness, Leto. So she is the goddess of hunt, wild animals, wilderness, the moon, and she's also the goddess of protection of women and children. So she's iconically known for carrying her bow and arrow and always surrounded by animals. Especially, I'm really drawn to this stag and how it's kind of connected to her energy of leadership, of confidence, of that inner stability within herself. Yet here we have untamed spirit. So something about that is refreshing, where there's this wildness, yet it's a very measured and calculated as well. So it's not just wild and chaotic. It's like someone who's in tune with the rhythms of nature. And so she represents spiritual freedom, that untamed wilderness, that independence. So I feel like this resonates with your energy because you're someone that is independent and, fiercely protective of the things that you love, the things that you value. There's this level of empowerment that emanates from your energy. You might also feel a connection to the moon, as it's mentioned that she is the goddess of the moon. And so this brings us back to those cycles of nature. And this energy is showing up to have you you might be somebody who already pays attention to working with the seasons, like how to optimize your growth or the flow of your life when you tap into the cycles. So let's say you're in your own inner winter season. You know when you're ready for downtime, reflection, introspection. You know it's not meant, when something's not meant to be forced. You're meant to just flow with it. Other times, when you need to step into spring, you're into action, into growth and creativity, and your inner summer, it's like you follow those patterns, and that is how you optimize your growth. That's how you yield abundance and results, and harvesting those results is when you're not going against the cycles or the seasons of your life. And so I feel like people may look at you and may wonder how you make it all work, how you get the things that you get in your life. If not, if you feel like, that doesn't feel like me, I struggle with that, then Artemis is here to show you that way, to learn her patterns, pattern recognition of working with the earth and the seasons and the rhythm, just as nature does. It doesn't, watching a flower bloom, it doesn't force its way. It just naturally happens. It occurs. It's the pulse of life that unfolds, and that unfoldment and that trust in the unfoldment of it is what makes it so special and magical. So you're very in tune with nature, and if you feel like you're not, then this may be a call to get back into nature so you can study its patterns and attune yourself, attune your own energies. Watch how your body shifts, how you pick up on the subtle energies when you spend more time in nature. And you could be at a time in your life where you're seeking out new adventures and trying to rediscover things that you love, new parts of yourself that you love, because you're growing. You're ready to step into a new version of yourself. So there's this. I'm really drawn to how focused this is. This focused, conscious intention behind the arrow. There's something about your free spirit that I think others admire and at the same time might scare them because they don't quite know how to perceive you. You defy the layers of conditioning in your community. You're some if it's if that's something you feel like you've lost in, Artemis is here to help you find the how to cut away from the external noise and come back to your true inner self. Because you are kind of like a wild child in a sense, but maybe that got muddled by our day-to-day responsibilities. It seems like you have great instincts, and so reclaiming your wildness, your wilderness, it's like there's this purpose and intention behind this, untamable energy. You have this wild, raw, creative spirit. And if you can concentrate that energy of your consciousness, it amplifies whatever goal, whatever project that you want to kind of work on and manifest. You are such a powerhouse for amplifying that energy to really grow in the direction that you want. Because you have this authenticity to you that others admire in your energy. There's this strength, this resilience, and self-reliance that others deeply admire and probably want to mirror off of you because you naturally exude that. And I think it's your unfiltered lens, your unfiltered way of thinking and thoughts. It's probably really funny, but people don't really know what to expect next because you're just so in your own rhythm of self. It's not just going to copy what other people are going to say, whatever trend is going to be, popular. You really are somebody who just kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to go do my own thing. So I could feel like you're somebody who spends time alone. Probably because you really love your own company. I see that. Like, you're just someone who could go off into the wilderness and go off into the night and look at the moon and be by yourself, journal, explore yourself. Like, there's so many pieces to you and layers to you that even you are uncovering and you're excited about it. And people want to be around you because you're so fascinating. Just because you have this, this independence that they really admire. So let's see I pulled out another card, another goddess, to start to contextualize your specific goddess energy. So we have Rhiannon with Sacred Mysteries. And I love that there's a horse. We have both. Look at these animals. So you have a connection to animals. You definitely have a strong either telepathic connection, emotional connection. I feel like they really are drawn and pulled in by your energy, your aura, because you feel like a safe protector. There's a gentleness, and also you have a strong soul connection to this earth. Now, Rhiannon is the queen of the fairies, so definitely the fairy realm is coming through too. If you've been drawn to fairies or have been working with elementals, any kind of like fae beings, I can see are very drawn to your energy. Again, because it's this connection to nature, you understand how to live, how to be in that nature. And so these other beings are very much just naturally drawn to you. And so you may get little visitors. They may be popping up in your dreams or visions if you try to meditate or do anything like that, or get sudden signs or synchronicities. They might just like kind of float into your awareness. And I'm also thinking of the Fleetwood Mac song, Rhiannon, where she's like, Rhiannon rings like a bell through the night and wood. You love to love her. Takes to the sky like a bird and fly, then who will be her lover? So I feel like people, again, they're really drawn to you. That line came through where, who, about her lovers, about people being drawn to her energy. What's the other line in there? Something about woman taken by the wind. Anyways, so I feel like you're just a breath of fresh air for people. They're just like, oh, I crave this person. They're so unusual. They're so unlike other people that I've so used to, or people that feel so bogged down by life. You have this exuberance, this excitedness, this sense of joy. I think you're really captivating to people, and so they just like to know more about you. So, Rhiannon is the Celtic goddess of love, beauty. She's of rebirth, forgiveness to horses. Oh, and the moon. She's also a goddess of the moon. So, both definitely a strong connection to the moon here, those moon cycles that we were talking about. Oh, and paying attention if you're a woman and you're still menstruating your cycles. I think too something about that also working with the flow of that energy housed within your body when you're in those cycles, and kind of learning, if you haven't yet, kind of exploring how you thrive. Like, are you in your luteal phase, or in your ovulation phase, or in your when you're actually bleeding? So learning how your energy dips and rises, and then how your work can flow with that would really be helpful for you. So Rhiannon, back to Rhiannon, she has a strong connection to the other world because she is the queen of fairies. So she understands the cycles of life and death, and super resilient. And she's often depicted riding a white horse, who symbolizes as her role as a guide between worlds. So people may look to you as a guide because you see patterns hidden in nature. You see patterns within not of this earth, but in other realms too. For some of you, if that resonates. So I see these two coming in tandem for you in your soul's journey, navigating life's transitions. So you may be going through a transition right now in your life where you're going to be tapping into more of this energy. There's more of a mystical presence in that veil between the worlds. So I see you being curious about the mysteries of life and the unseen forces. You just in general have a very enchanting and alluring kind of energy. Okay, so I want to pull out more cards for you to get a little closer look at your goddess energy. Ooh, Aphrodite, self-love. Look at all these men looking at her. I love it. Oh, okay, that was really quick. Oh, two wanted to come out. Ooh, Urania. Whoa. Snow Queen. Oh my gosh, look at that. The stack again. And then like the white horse. It's like the both of them combined. Wow. Oh boy. All right, we're taking these. We've got Angel, helping those in need with no expectation of return. Judge, balancing justice and compassion. managing the fair distribution of power. And rebel challenges authority to effect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Ooh, spider. Oh, sage. Ooh. I'm gonna get one more. Okay, well, Spirit said you get two more. You got magician. Ooh. Aries. Hunky. Okay, let's see. This probably won't be able to fit. We'll make it work. Dude, you are magical. Okay, well, there you go. I don't know where to start with you, but let's kind of peel back each of the layers. So let's start with your surface level, what people might perceive on the outer shell, because your energy is very beautiful. It draws, I said how earlier, how you're very captivating and alluring. And I'm noticing how these men or people are just kind of gawking at her, watching her, and the way she's owning her confidence, owning her body, owning her true self. That's that untamed spirit coming through. The beauty, the effortlessness, the flow of her own rhythm. It's very feminine energy that's coming through. So I think men and women are drawn to you in that energy because they may come off with the intentions like, oh, this is going to be a good time. And she knows she's dancing, she's having a great time, she's moving, she's grooving. And so they may approach you and then be completely surprised with the level of depth that you embody. Because first, how do we want to go with this? We'll start with the Snow Queen. Not even that. Actually, let's jump over to Urania. So Urania, I'll come back. Oh, the rebel's trying to slide out of here. Stay put. Urania here. So she's known for philosophy, knowledge, intelligence. She's the ancient Greek muse of astronomy. So her energy is directed towards endless expansion of the mind. She represents enthusiastic and dedicated student with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. And so you might be very focused in on the things. You may have that curious mind. Again, there was this curiosity that was coming through with your energy. And maybe you like to travel, imagine going into other realms. That's what Rhiannon was all about. So maybe, entering philosophy, creating these alternative reality maps where you're exploring other concepts, abstract concepts, because you have a very multi-dimensional, multi-sensory kind of mind and self that you can tap into these other spaces, whether it be mentally or in another altered state. You have a connection to the moon from both of these ladies here. So it's like the night sky, I'm really getting strong astrology coming through, or astronomy. So anything that has to deal with that kind of knowledge I'm getting Sagittarius vibes. So that'd be, let me know if any of you are Sagittarius because I feel like this is very Sagittarian kind of energy coming through with that like sense of effortlessness that they exude and confidence and they're traveling. But the thing with the depth that I wanted to talk about here. So I feel like you really had to figure out and find that mindset that people may look to you as if you do it so easily, like you just were, that's just who you are. In a sense, yes, that's who you are, but you had to take some work to get there, to get into that healthy state of self-love that others are seeing. You were just like that. Like maybe life kind of hardened you, and I'm seeing again, we're talking about the winters of life. So having to traverse through really difficult moments that, or uncovering those layers of conditioning that made you think otherwise. So you had to, challenge those belief structures, and change and shift your attitude. And that takes time and adjustment, especially if our caregivers or the people around us, our friend groups, may not be in that higher vibration, higher alignment. So if we go out of our way to, that maybe that's why you had to take a lot of downtime too and be alone and self-isolate. So that way you can refamiliarize yourself with your energy, and maybe you're reading, you're learning, you're listening to different documentaries or podcasts, books, and taking courses, just so you can get into a different state of mind. So that different state of mind puts you in that different frequency. And so people are, again, drawn like a moth to a flame. They're just drawn to this beautiful energy because your beauty was an inside job. It was not at all about just your outer shell. And that's why people want they want to feel that. They recognize that. Their soul recognizes that too. And they can get there, but it's going to take work, just how you went through your own inner growth and your inner challenges. You found that path of growth to regain confidence, if you've ever even lost it. Some of you, maybe you've always had a very strong confidence and, we're always solid in that. Others of you, maybe it's this time in your life where you kind of feel like you've lost touch with it, and now you're reclaiming it. You're reclaiming your confidence and your personal power. So, and your creative projects might be something to explore there, of how you're reclaiming that energy and that power, and building a community. I always think of the World Wide Web, so the internet may be some of significance, and how you connect with your hobbies and other groups, starting other groups. And I'm seeing you weaving this tapestry in your life because you have such a variety in your soul essence. I feel like you're an advocate for people too. With this Judge card and Angel card, you do these acts of service, acts of kindness, and you do challenge, because you're such a visionary. You're somebody who really challenges outdated beliefs with this Rebel card, outdated structures, but you have this perseverance. So this Aries card, it's like the warrior card. You can persevere long winters because you have a strong, solid sense of self. And this is the inner, here we're going to bring up the inner sage and the magician. This is your inner magic. This is the way that you can work with your energy. And like we were saying earlier, how you kind of optimize your growth by tuning in and listening to the rhythms of nature, of pulling in wisdom. So, and even with the material things that you're around. So if you're looking for books or other sources of knowledge, it's like you listen to that intuitive flow. So you might be like, oh, I'm going to just go and grab this book. I don't know what I'm going to flip to a page and then there's your answer. And so you kind of start crafting and building that tapestry of your life. And others are like, ooh, I wonder what perspective. Like, I love listening to Pile Four's perspective because they have such a unique spin on life and life experience. I get all of this that I wouldn't have known if I were just looking at the facade of who they were. So that was something about your goddess energy that you're meant to bring this through and challenge those stereotypes and break molds. And you have that ability to do that. And I think you're reminding people how to access healthy self-love as you have had to learn to do that, as you have learned how romantic love is connected to your healthy self-love. People might get jealous of you because sometimes jealousy is really just a reminder of what our soul is like. It feels like we're missing, but we have it within ourselves. We just haven't recognized it. So if you do get jealousy, it's really just, don't pay too much attention to it. I know that's easier said than done, but you are being an embodied example. When you're tapped into this energy, this divine energy, you're setting an example for others that they themselves can access this as well. Because again, you did your work. You persevered to get here. So sorry if the camera has been shaking. I kept hitting this by accident, and I just realized when I looked at the camera. Okay. I wanted to pull some last few cards just to see any messages from Spirit and what they might have to say about your goddess energy. Okay, I'm going to clear this out. Okay, you got 2. I'll do another one. Oh, I just saw on the back of the deck it said fertility, which one of these goddess of fertility. Okay, these two, since you already flipped up, we'll look at these. We got miracle and synergy. Let's see, the frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that the new and exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. Miracle, the frequency of miracle supports our belief in ourselves as part of Source, and therefore our belief that anything is possible. And then we have tenderness. These are beautiful colors. Energy of tenderness activates our capacity to open our hearts and approach the world and each other with gentleness and care. And then transparency. So the energy of transparency supports our expansion towards a higher vibrational state of being with more insight, honesty, and clarity. And then lastly, from Believe in Your Own Magic deck, okay. You've got nostalgia. Focus on the here and now. Look at the space. That reminds me of the Urania card you had earlier. Okay, so you have a connection to the stars for sure. I just saw on the back of the deck it said, mirror, treat your body like the palace it is. You got Aphrodite, who's all about self-love and, self-positivity. I'm really drawn to this scene where it looks like she's kind of just daydreaming, but she's going off into different worlds with their planets. And then we have Rhiannon over here who talks about going into the other realms, other worlds. So I feel like if you disassociate a lot, I think you are actually just dipping into other realms, other dimensions, and you may just chalk it up to imagination or just to like, whoop, there I go again. Just checked out. But I think you just have a multi-sensory perception that pulls and extracts information from these spaces. And then you bring it back into the physical world because I keep being reminded how she had the ability as literally a fairy queen from the fairy realm. She would just disappear, pop out, and then pop back in. So, I mean, you're here in the physical body, but yet your soul, the larger part of yourself, can still access these other dimensions. And so it's a natural flow that you tap into, and that's what allows you to have such a unique perspective. And this is also part playing into your untamed spirit, because it's like we see here the planets, we have mermaids and all sorts of things, all sorts of fun creatures. It's not somebody who, but yet has to live in this 3D world, and maybe like they may be at work and they have to abide by the rules of societal conditioning, and yet it's almost like we're occupying these two worlds, these two selves that we are experiencing. So with the untamed spirit and transparency, I feel like you're being guided to be more authentic and honest about those aspects of you, and letting others know that that's how you operate. And not just how you operate, I mean, just by offering those unique perspectives. They're not weird. People love to hear that. They really value your input. So if there's been any kind of hesitation with fear of rejection, of being too honest about expressing your thoughts and feelings, and so in some ways maybe we've learned how to conceal our deeper feelings to just try to protect ourselves, and yet at the same time craving intimacy. You're being with all this blue energy, which is very connected to the throat chakra and all about communication. So tapping into, you're a little angel, as we saw earlier. So you have this divine wisdom, this divine glow that is meant to spread love, spread those messages. You got Aphrodite's self-love, and feeling truly connected and loved by another can only happen when we show up authentically. Otherwise, the other might only love the parts of ourselves that we show, and yet are unaware of the parts that we keep hidden. And so then we don't really feel loved. And that transparency takes courage. Yet when you make that choice to bring everything out in the open, there's this liberation that happens out of that confinement, the illusionary control. So it's inviting you of where to be transparent with others. Where do you express your thoughts, feelings, and intentions easily? And when do you hold back? What do you choose to hold back? Because the untamed spirit tells me that there's some part of you that really just wants to come out in the open, and it could be anything. To one person, probably doesn't even seem that wild and crazy, but for you, maybe you've been wearing a costume, or just an old worn out shoe, and you're ready to change shoes, as a metaphor, of course. But something like, even if it starts with the external, like I want to dress differently, or I want to talk about the different topics that I don't really talk about with people because I think that they're going to judge me. Or just doing things differently. Like I want to go here or there, but I don't have anyone to go with. I'm just going to go by myself, and it's going to make me look weird. It's like, that's okay. Go for it. Do the things that, maybe you just got in a routine, in a rut, but now it's time to shake out of that routine and start changing it up. And you're going to feel alive. You're going to feel that wind. I'm hearing that horse over here, just like plowing through the field, running through the field, feeling the wind in my hair. So there's something very freeing about you being open about a part of yourself that you maybe kept hidden. And you'll be very surprised at what will come forward with this synergy card and miracle. I think that there are miracles coming through you to when you're making these connections with other people, and allowing yourself to open up to them a bit more about the side of who you are and really claiming about the side of who you are. There's going to be some partnerships, some with the synergy, it's like you're creating something new. You're bringing something new to the table and allowing that energy to have a chance. It's living that whatever energy that's through you that wants to come out wants to be birthed into this physical world. And so in this synergy, it's kind of like others will be drawn to your authenticity, and then you're going to feel such a relief by meeting up other like-minded people and attracting like-minded people into your life. And you have such a sensitive side of you, this sensitivity to be able to perceive and pick up on these subtle energies tells me how tender, how tender you are. So you may be someone who's highly sensitive, and you just have a very big heart. And this is what the world needs, especially in this very loud, hard, and chaotic world during this time. It's easy to forget that we're meant to be sharing this love with each other. And we get so bombarded by all the pain and the anger and the fear-driven things that I feel like you're going to be this person for people to relax in and to feel connected to. There's something very nurturing and healing about you, and that people feel seen. There's like this tenderness that flows from your heart, and it transmutes any stagnant energy. And that's how people feel connected to a greater whole, and you help assist with that process. It's like they feel this energy coming from your heart, and that's what makes it so beautiful, so alluring. And maybe the way you speak too, there might be this passion, but yet at the same time, there's these tender qualities in your interactions. And the way that you just carry yourself, it sends signals to people that are like, oh, this is a trustworthy person. This is someone I really want to listen to, and I feel heard, and I get to explore other sides of myself, because pile 4 is having the courage to do that for themselves and expand the definition of who they are and what they mean. And so that's your innate goddess quality, is like this ability to tap into those energies. So that's stunning. I love that. All right. Well, pile 4, I will leave you here. I hope you enjoyed your messages, and I will see you at the next reading. Bye. Hi, group number 5. Welcome to your reading. You chose this goddess, Oshun, with infinite flow, and this beautiful little selenite shell. And was this, I think, maybe rose quartz? Everything's rose quartz for my selections. So just before we begin our reading, I want to say this same spiel I've been giving in each of the groups. So as we tap into your lovely goddess energy, this is more about a spectrum of where you're at. So some who might be listening to this maybe a little more earlier on in this goddess archetypal energy, where you're more stepping in and unfolding into who you are, and you're maybe early on in this journey, or perhaps you're a little more further along in the path where you're a bit more actualized, where you are expressing this into its fullest potential, into its fullest expression. And this may be either a major theme overall in your life, or this may just be a cycle or a season in your life where this particular goddess aspect wants to take front and center stage. That way, because over time, as we go through lives and cycle through different roles, different hats, sometimes we lose parts and aspects of ourselves that these goddesses working with their energy can help us rebalance and shift back into an energy that we may have either not so much lost, but we're reclaiming that part of ourselves that just took a back seat while we were dealing with other responsibilities in life and cultivating other versions of ourselves. So, for you, my love, you have this beauty. Now, before, I was only going to do 4 piles, but I looked at the back of the deck and Oshun was just like, hi. You're not forgetting me. Hello. So I was like, oh, of course, you're coming along here. So I feel like something about that is in your energy too. And it's not like being overlooked. Far from it. It's like it's like you're the energy that comes along when people are like, "Oh, I didn't. Yeah, group 5, they should definitely come along with us. Like we love their energy. Like we were gonna do this or that, but group 5, they're they're a vibe. They're a time. So come on in." I feel like that's your energy. Um, so I was humming when I was trying to tap into this pile, and Erica Badu came on in my mind, and it was oh, on and on and on and on. Myself keeps moving like a rolling stone. I don't know why, but I feel like with your group, it's very lots of humming, lots of singing, just doing your thing. Again, you're the vibe. So I feel like you already cultivate that in your own space, in your own time. You're just someone who people just are constantly hearing. Like, oh, she's in the zone. She's in her own little world. We love it, and we want to be a part of it. So I am with this group. I feel like your goddess energy. There's lots of dancing, lots of rhythmic movements, and your movement feels like it's purposeful, like it's slow and it's graceful, and then it can be intense. And each step, each way you pivot, it's like it's so accentuated and sensual. I think people are very drawn to your energy. So with Oshun, this goddess, she is from the Yoruba religion, from the Yoruba mythology. So she is a Yoruba Orisha associated with in West Africa. So she is primarily the goddess of the river. She's a water spirit, but also the goddess of love, beauty, fertility, and sexuality, as well as diplomacy, purity, and abundance. So how this applies to your goddess energy, I feel like there's many eyes that watch you when you walk into a room, you walk into a space, you walk into a building. It's like you're something different for people. They just are just hypnotized by this energy that you have. Now, again, if you feel like, what? That's not me. This is something to tap back into because you do have it. You do have this ability. It's reconnecting with this part of yourself that is, that just flows so gracefully. So your goddess energy has a lot of sex appeal, but it's very sensual. That sensuality is just very powerful and expressive, especially in this world where people can be very numb and when a lot of people we hear like sink into depression, it's the opposite of that is expression, right? It's like this fullness, this liveness and vitality, and that you exude that. And that's why people are very drawn to your energy. So I'm feeling with this group lots of self-love. At least there's been a lot of work on self-love, self-confidence, and appreciating beauty. Very, I feel like hedonist, but hedonist in the best way. Like you just, it's also giving Taurus vibes for me. So I feel like tapping into this Orisha energy is showing me your inner radiance, the way that you shine. And you're also just this nurturing force. It's like your presence offers emotional and physical well-being, healing. And people just feel abundant in your energy, and that in itself is very healing for them. So I see with your goddess energy here, it's you honor the rhythms of nature, finding joy in every experience, and trusting the abundance of life as you learn to navigate life's waters with grace and ease. You are literally the divine feminine. And people appreciate your energy. And if they don't, they're out of here. I don't even think you do it. You do it any maybe some of you could have a little what's the word am I looking for? A little bit of a spicy energy with that, where you cut them right out, or you just don't really mind them and you go and find the people that do appreciate you, and then they're over there looking at you like, oh, what did I lose? Wait, I want their energy back. That's awesome. I love it. I love it so far already. Okay, I pulled another card for you as well. Each group got another secondary goddess energy. And for you, this is the goddess Isha. And this is with it says lunar wisdom. Now she is let me put these two right here. She's the Mayan moon goddess and embodies fertility, healing, and lunar magic. And with her, I know she's also the jaguar goddess. So if you're feeling any jaguar vibes, oh, I couldn't help it because I know she's the Mayan, the Yucatan, and then we got Africa, West Africa over here. So with the two of them, it made me think of the movie Wakanda Forever, the second Black Panther movie, because these were kind of like two well, obviously Wakanda's not, but it was based in Africa. So with the Yucatan, the Mayan people, and these cultures were grouped together in this movie. So this is the second time I brought up Wakanda. There's another pile I brought it up for a completely different reason, but I just think it's funny. Like, why am I bringing this up so much? Anyways, which something just feels magical about that, by the way. It's like, oh, I also feel like there's something, you might have some ancestors with one of these lineages, maybe multiple. And if it's not physically in this biological body that you're in, where maybe you don't have a connection physically, I also feel spiritually, maybe before you incarnated. It's like there was something with these ancestors that are still connected with you and watching you in this life as like some kind of guide. I'm drawn to this temple, the Mayan temple right there. Oh, is that Teotihuacan or is that Chichen Itza? Oh gosh, I'm so bad. I can't remember. But anyways, back to Ichel. It was interesting because she has very similar traits to Oshun, with the nurturing presence, a deep connection to nature's cycles, and fertility. Oh, we said that already. She also radiates wisdom and compassion. She's revered as the patroness of childbirth, midwifery, and so she inspires mothers. So some of you may be on the journey, on the path of motherhood, whether you're coming into that or you've already been on this path, this journey. She seems like a goddess that's been very, whether her energy, but her archetype at least, is around your energy here. So she is also associated with herbal medicine. So some of you may be healers, working medicine women, working with plant medicine, or just very drawn to that, even if you don't do it professionally. It's just something that you seem to have an attraction towards. So again, we see strong connection to the rhythms of the moon, the lunar wisdom, which is funny. There's another pile that had, right before this, that had a connection to the moon. Very strong connection as well. So if that was another pile you might have been interested in, then hello again. So you have the capacity to navigate the depths of emotion, and with compassion and grace. And you bring a lot of emotional healing to others because you know how to dip down into unlocking the secrets of the subconscious realm. And so I feel like many seek out your guidance and wisdom because the way that you distill information into clarity, it's like it opens new ways of thinking, new portals. Literally, they open up new portals of thinking, because if someone's limitations were keeping them on one trajectory of life, well, your depth, your wisdom, the way you flow and move, it's like your perspective is so unique and interesting and deep and wise that it's unshackling those barriers that their mental prison was keeping them in. And I feel like maybe that could have been a process for you as well, of undoing and unlearning, unconditioning, because this is a very ancient energy as well that you're bringing through, that maybe that's why you've always felt that in your life a little bit, that inner knowing of just enjoying the fruits of this earth, enjoying this earth that we're living here, tapping into joy and beauty, because people get so caught up in the seriousness of it all. And it's because life's heavy, obviously there's a reason why, but I don't know, I think you just have a very unique way of shifting out of those, like the unnecessary heaviness of it, or at least your perspective immediately unhooks people from that limiting way of living. So very, very cool. Yeah, I think in general, the Mayans are so fascinating because of their obviously the calendar, their timekeeping, their record keeping. I think you just have exceptional awareness, especially working with the lunar calendar. I think that's something you might have some hidden wisdom there if you started to really work with moon cycles, if not already. You might have been so natural inclined to that. So paying attention to how energy flows when it's the new moon, and what are the quarter moons or the full moon. And the way that you observe the natural world and study celestial bodies, you might be really good at astrology, good astrologer. I wouldn't be surprised if that was something that you might have been taking an interest in. Now, with both of these energies combined, I couldn't help but notice these jewelry. Look at how decked out these women are. So I feel like if you're drawn to dressing up, accessorizing jewelry, also curating your space, like your physical space, and tailoring it to your mood, your vibe, again, because you're a vibe queen. I see that having a role in how you cultivate your energy. So strong feminine energy, and there's this inner awareness, and I think your goddess energy teaches others to have a more inward focus, because all you need is already within you. You've learned or are learning not to look outside of yourself. I think that was one soul lesson that was being mastered here. And people may want to imitate you or mirror you just by witnessing your inner feminine energy. You're a great guide for others in that way. So embracing that more if you haven't already stepped into that. I feel like you're leading the way of how to energetically balance, charge, unblock, and expand your own flow, and how that energy flows in your own inner river channels. Because the goddess here is the goddess of rivers. And I think about within the body, when you map it out and the way our blood flows, it's like you're channeling the way you channel your energy and you move that energy through the chakra systems and keeping this, it's not stagnant. It's not stagnating. There's a healthy flow of it. If that's something you struggle with, then this is why they would be coming through, is to help you regain that sense of flow back in your own body and energetically, because of the way that you have this kind of magic in transmuting and transforming, expanding this sensual energy and the way that you experience life more deeply through that process. And so therefore others can again mirror you to experience their lives more deeply connected. And to be in your feminine sensuality is also unlearning the conditioning that women on this planet have been dealing with, especially with feelings of shame around our sexuality. So I feel like you might be somebody who may benefit a lot from somatic practices, and you might be already drawn to that and how to work with the body and the energy of the body, using that as your own tool, not disconnecting it, but being more embodied. So you may hold a lot of wisdom, like techniques on how to release emotional overload. And you may show others that way, that pathway, and how to do that. So if that's a skill that you haven't embraced yet, I would encourage you to look at that, because I think you have a really good knack for having an eye for it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out a few more cards to get a better taste of your feminine goddess energy here. Right, what is group 5's goddess? Okay. Freya, irresistibility, of course. Right, what is... Oops. What is group 5's? Tell me more about their energy, their goddess energy. Yeah, you and group 4 feel very similar in some way. Ooh, that is dope. Look at that. Dragon goddesses. If dragons are definitely one of your guides and they're around you quite a bit. Tell me about group 5's goddess energy. Huh. I think another group got turtle. It's funny because turtle's also about ancient soul. Ooh, so the back of the deck is snake. I know snakes are a symbol with Ichel over there. Group 5's goddess energy. What is group 5's goddess energy? Oh, it's beautiful. Child divine. innocence, purity, and redemption. Suggest a special connection with the divine shadow attribute and ability to defend oneself against negative forces. Oh my god, look on the back. Child magical, seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things. The belief that everything is possible. Okay, I am keeping that. You got 2 child cards. Okay. Tell me about group 5. Ooh. We've got friend. Okay. Look at the person like eyeing her up. Yeah, sure. Friend. Okay. Detective. Ooh. Look at one more. I feel like the other groups got a little more out of this deck. Ooh, rebel. We like that. With our turtle friend over here, our sea turtle, it's making me think of Finding Nemo with the turtle crush. Was that the name of the dad or this little baby sea turtle? Either way, that's if you've seen it, but there's a scene where they go in that rip current and Nemo was all hesitant. No, not Nemo. His dad. Oh my god, what is his dad's name? I gotta look this up. Marlin. Okay, I was almost gonna say Merlin. I was like, it's not Merlin. Marlin. Okay. Anyways, the scene where he goes into the rip current because it was the quickest way to get through the ocean. Ocean. And this is exactly what we were talking about with this flow, entering that flow, the energetics of it. It's getting you quickly to the places that you want to go, the places where you want to be, the experiences that you want to have. But there's a process, there's a skill and a strategy to get there. And yet at the same time, there's no forcing. It's almost like one of those Zen koans, where it's like both contradictions at the same time. So in order to get to where you want to go, at the same time, you have to let go in this process. Not the easiest thing to do, but the fact that you have the child energy both here, child divine and child magic, it's this skill of tapping into that innocence, that joy and openness and curiosity, the wildness, especially with the rebel card. It's like a willingness to just go out there and explore and go have an adventure and creating that. I think that's part of the process. Like we can all say that we want to do these things, but creating that experience for yourself in day-to-day life, not just those once in a while big vacations or big leaps once in a while. It's a day-to-day process. And because you've learned, either that came naturally to you in this life, but because it's something that you've worked towards, you've grown as your soul over lifetimes, or maybe that's something that you're learning how to grasp right now in this season of your life, because it's like, ooh, where did I get a little too stuffy or too, I think you can feel it, your soul feels it. It's like, oh, I gotta stretch and I gotta expand outwards. But there's such a fierceness and confidence in your energy with this dragon goddess. And the dragon is all about good luck, good fortune, abundance, things just flowing into your life. Now, if you feel like that's not really coming into your life, I think these goddesses are coming up to see, where do you feel stuck, or where does the energy feel stagnant, to approach it with more of this childlike energy. Especially you have a good awareness. You're a keen observer of patterns, just like Ichel over here with the lunar wisdom, studying the cycles of the moon. I think studying the cycles of your own energy, when it dips, when it rises, when it the people that you're around, the experiences that you want to attract or you want to create. This childlike energy is going to help you zip through, just like that rip current, to get to where you want to go. It's not childish, it's childlike. And I think those are two distinctive qualities to tap into. It's like you still have the accountability and this responsibility to show up to your life, to the responsibilities of your life. But the way you approach it, that energy that you approach it with, makes all the difference here. Like, it's no wonder when you see like these gurus and masters and yogis and Zen teachers, Zen guides, like they're very the Buddha laugh. I think of the Buddha laugh, and he approaches life with this bright energy, this outlook that even in this greatest amount of suffering, they could still look at it all and still laugh. And they still show up with a compassionate heart, but at the same time, practicing this non-attachment to the identity, to the story. They're above the story. And so from that perspective, it's like they're able to maintain this childlike energy. It's not easy, and it has to be authentic, and that's the biggest thing. We can't mask it. So this is the artful work of self-mastery, emotional mastery, that I think that you are a great guide for others to tap into more of this energy. Yeah, because I keep thinking in the reference to this card talks about ancient souls and having to trust oneself and be the home, finding the home in yourself. So some of you are great storytellers, great writers, poets. The way you communicate to people and play with people. So it's like, seems like some of your friends are even very attracted to you. Look at the cup, it says hot. Even if you're like, nobody thinks I'm hot. Yeah, they do. They're just not telling you. Some people may just keep it to themselves because of maybe it might create some disruptions. Maybe you're already in a relationship. Maybe who knows? Who knows what the reasons are? But people are just naturally attracted. It's not just the physical. Your physical is great, beautiful, lovely, but it's just your energy that you exude. Everyone's so inspired by it. And I think this confidence that you have now with Freya and Rebel and Detective, you're very smart, you're wise, but you have such a strength to it's part of your nature. And it's very well balanced too. It's like beautiful, but a warrior and a goddess, obviously. I think the way that you carry yourself too, the way that you walk, it's like you stand up high and your shoulders are back, your posture. And if that's something you struggle with, maybe paying attention more to your posture a bit to align those energies a little bit better, and they'll flow a bit better too, the way that it flows in your body. I'm cracking up how this is basically a goddess of sexuality. So again, we're coming back to the sexuality and the independence and confidence, not being ashamed of beauty and power, but of the right kind of authenticity of power. You're a very generous soul too, is what I'm feeling with you. You do pay attention to others quite a bit, and you're very tuned into and aware of their needs, but as well as being attuned to your own needs. And this is where you thrive. And this is where you can teach a lot of people through that, how to cultivate that irresistible energy. Especially in this era with social media and this obsession and construction of our physical appearance. But it's so hollow inside for not everyone, obviously, but when you can feel when someone's really stretching to just like pay attention to my outer shell, but then I feel nothing, but I'm going to keep hoping to get views for this. And that is fine. That is totally fine to do all that post on there. There's no judgment on that part. But you know, when you can feel from a person, there's a huge sense of lack. I feel like you're a great example to, even if you do post pictures and selfie of you feeling yourself, it's like there's something about it, the way you do it is like it's so you're just comfortable in your own skin. And it's not to really get validation. Like, sure, validation is nice. It's nice to be noticed. But it's at the same time, you really do work on your own inner self. And so it doesn't have to come from other people. But by you doing that, you naturally just attract a lot of people. So I feel like you're setting a different standard of beauty, especially in this era where we're kind of learning how to get nourished. The soul's eagerly looking to be nourished, but it's not getting sustained through social media. I don't know if I'm making any sense. If you get the idea, the picture that, you know, beauty is more than just being surface level. It's how you've managed it emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. Like, our self-worth doesn't come from other people, and our sense of worthiness. I think you're going to help a lot of people with the working with their worthiness runes, identifying those patterns, working with those cycles, and breaking out, like we said at the beginning of the reading, breaking out of these mental prisons and these self-imposed limitations from their conditioning that made them believe that they were either unattractive or unvaluable, or whatever ways they kind of scrape by to gain power, gain influence. It's like you come along and your goddess energy is like reminding them what true, authentic feminine power is, a healthy sense of feminine power too. So yeah, definitely don't hold back if this is your kind of energy, because the world needs more of this. All right, so for this last part of the reading, I want to grab a few more cards and see if there are any messages Spirit wants to let you know about this goddess energy that you have. All right. Messages from Spirit for group number 5. We have connection. The frequency of connection supports our ability to find alignment and resonance with others, things, and ideas. Let's see. Belief. The frequency of belief supports our sense of self-worth based on our gifts and talents and a strong connection to source. I'm going to get one more with these. Empowerment. Ooh, okay. So the frequency of empowerment supports our ability to show up fully and completely, uniting us with others in the deep trust that we all are connected through the same source. Oh, all right. Phoenix. How's that for a happily ever after? I don't know why I'm pulled. Yeah, I kind of want one more. Let's see. Which Justice is coming. Look at her, all of her clothes. Look at you. You have a great fashion sense. I love it. I love these. There's a bat and a sword right next to her shoes. She ready? Group 5. Pay attention to the people and the connections that come into your life. Look beyond just the physical, as we've been talking about in this reading. I would encourage you to kind of look and see beyond the layers of those connections. What are they bringing out in you? What is it? Is it harmonizing? Is it contracting? Is it limiting? What gifts are you finding within yourself, uncovering within yourself when you interact with these people, whether they are friendships, coworkers, someone at the grocery store, concert you bump into, a lover, ex-partner, a family member, you name it. Really kind of start diving in and seeing how those connections are playing a part in reflecting as a mirror of your belief system. I think you already do this. I think you naturally are inclined to do that. So, but I feel like just kind of revisiting, relooking at it, I'm kind of drawn to these circles, this radius. It's like these points, these nodes of connections kind of coming your way, resonating with you or not resonating, the things that are out of alignment. It's kind of like it'll repel itself if it needs to leave your life. But looking at the belief structure, the energetic blueprint of your beliefs here, because I see it says self-worth based on our gifts and talents. So maybe that was a period you had to struggle with recognizing and owning your gifts, recognizing the talent that you have, not playing small, and also the things that you had to work on, because I feel like you kind of have these two bigger energies here, and with an empowerment as well, with belief and connection. I feel like you may have just went through something or were going through things that were disappointing, unhappy times. They were very triggering situations that either felt like you were being treated unfairly, you got the short end of the stick. I feel like Spirit wants to let you know that your justice is coming. You are going to see some redemption from this experience. It wasn't in vain, and there's going to be a renewal, a new lease on life that you're about to experience and really step into the more that you work with these beliefs and tapping into that part of yourself, transmuting any conditioning, any layers of conditioning from these other friendships or groups that you were around that maybe muddled the pureness of your energy. And you're the purifier. You're the one, you're literally the phoenix here, transmuting the spaces with the groups and the connections that you meet. And you're forever changing them as they make contact with you. Because you're irresistible. You have a very irresistible energy. But it's something that we also have to be the caretakers of our own hearts, of our own energy, and who we allow in, who has access to us, and that level of access, especially when everyone's very drawn in. It requires those boundaries to be in place of how deep you want to go with each person and who just gets more surface level, who gets the more deeper level, how much do you open up to? Because not everybody is at that level of consciousness and that level of awareness that you've developed, that you've worked so hard to take time out to understand. And maybe it was through these challenges that your soul experienced in this life or in past lives. You underwent these obstacles to overcome them, to understand and integrate it. And this is where you're getting this deep level of self-empowerment and working with shifting beliefs, shifting perspectives. Like we said at the beginning of the reading, you have that ability to do that, and people learn from you, or should be. They should be taking notes. But not always. And this is where we limit our access if they're not aligned with our energy. Now, obviously, use your discernment if you have a child and you know what? You're toxic. Like if they're like 5, use your best judgment on who gets access to you. Sorry, baby, get out of here. You're not in alignment with me. But no, I think you are a great guide for others and how you show up in the world, how you work with your beliefs, how your beliefs are more malleable than maybe the stubbornness that others are clinging to. And this is what fosters connections in your life. This is why they're attracted to you. But also fostering those high quality connections are important to maintain this high vibration and to continuously to get those benefits, to get the flow of abundance, is by shifting ourselves enough to where we are hanging around better environments, better groups. We don't have to lose contact with the people that we still love dearly and cherish them. But if you feel like you've evolved at a certain level, then maybe it's another part of you that's ready to be nurtured and to be explored. Because I do get a sense of adventure with you and of inner exploration and outer exploration, that it seems like you're ready. And there are going to be abundant blessings coming your way with this Justice is Coming card. And like, how's that for a happy ending? It's like there is way more up ahead down the road for you that you don't even realize just yet how you're about to have your own have another glow up, essentially. So interesting one. Very beautiful. I love this. You are quite the way shower for the rest of us. All right. Well, group number 5, that was your reading. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next reading.